Right, good afternoon, and to our French colleagues, bonjour à tous. My name is Alice Chibombo, and I am welcoming you from Kampala in Uganda. On behalf of the local organizing committee, welcome to the third day of Wiki Indaba 2021. And these last days, we have had very engaging presentations. We have listened to our colleagues telling us the things that they have been to during the time of the pandemic, telling us about the innovations they have come up with and the future pathways that they envision for their communities and for themselves as individuals. But there's something that we had not forgotten, and this is the keynote session that you are tuned into right now. For the French speakers, there is a section at the back where you can join and listen into French. And I will be joined by Jesse Asiedu, and Jesse is our session host, as well as trust and safety. Please note that this is a space where the Wikimedia safe space policy applies. So welcome all to the keynote session for Wiki Indaba 2021. So since we last met in Abuja, a lot has happened within the Wikimedia movement. Communities have grown, but we've also been faced with many challenges. And as one wise person said, the only constant thing in life is change. And the Wikimedia movement, the world over, but especially in Africa, has not been spared any kind of change. We have had to change the way we look at outreach, how we are approaching our communities, how we are engaging individuals, and how we are leveraging the Wikimedia projects to bring out the knowledge that we have in store. But that's just me talking, speaking as an editor and a volunteer from the Wikimedia user group in Uganda. I do have somebody that I know who is more experienced than me. And for this reason, he's going to be joining us, telling us more about recalibrating Wikimedia in a time of constant change. We will be joined by Dr. Collence Chisita. He is a researcher, he is an author, he is an editor, and he comes highly recommended. His background is in information science, so what better qualification to tell us about the changes that the free knowledge movement is facing here in Africa. And he is based at the Durban University of Technology. You can read his bio on the meta page. His research interests are varied, and he's going to be sharing more about what he has seen during his research and how his research intersects with everything that is Wikimedia on the continent of Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your virtual hands together and clap for our guest presenter or for our keynote speaker. And Dr. Chisita, you are welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, my sister. Thank you very much, everyone. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings, colleagues and friends. Before we start, I think we would like to pay gratitude to the lens that we stand on as we are able to communicate virtually. There are cables that are passing through the spaces that we occupy. The physical, the intellectual, or cyber spaces as well that we occupy. So we pay gratitude to that, because these lands are the lands that belong to different groups of people, including indigenous people. Thank you so much. Right. I'm just trying to upload my my PowerPoint.
Shall I share it from this side and then you prompt me on the slides to move at?
Yes, I think that would be better.
All right, then let me do that. Okay. Okay, just give me a minute to. Have you been successful?
No, go ahead.
All right. All right. Let me open this. A moment, please. Technology is taking over. All right. All right. Dr. Chisita,
Yes.
please let me know, and let the audience could also let us know.
Okay.
And then you can prompt me.
All right. Yes, my presentation is on reconsidering and recalibrating Wikimedia in an era of constant change. Next slide.
That one?
After this one.
There?
Right, we are living in an era. We are living in an era of constant change, where things are not static. Since the dawn of the digital revolution, we have seen quite grandiose developments in terms of digital technologies that enable us to communicate with each other. And the 20th century, from the 1950s, when Vannevar Bush, Daniel Bell predicted that the rate at which information was being produced would require a strategy on how to develop the mechanisms to manage that information so that it could be useful for development. We have also witnessed the transition from what we can call centralized to democratic content media creation, characterized by a changeover from single authorship to collaborative authorship. We have also seen the proliferation of social networking sites and collaborative platforms like the Wikipedia, because of its potential to allow users to create content in a collaborative way. We have seen the birth of Wikipedia as a silo buster because of its collaborative nature. We have also seen the demise of third-party approval because of the democratization of access to information. We have seen also transitions from different modes of production. The first mode of production, second mode of production, and now the third mode of production. We have also be a testimony to the fact that knowledge generation is no longer a preserve of proprietary media. We've also seen that there are seismic technological changes that are taking place in the information sphere and in info organizations, or what we call infogs. Secondly, when we look at Wikipedia as a new kid on the block that has now begun to become the beloved one of Pan, its roots, we trace it to the ancient library of Alexandria and the Pergamon. And these are institutions that were based on the premise that the concept gathering of all the world's knowledge and put it in a single place would help to uplift society. Wikipedia is coming from a background of Nupedia. It's also coming from the efforts that were done by other ancient Wikipedia, encyclopedians like Pliny, etc., who promoted access to learning and spent staggering years generating content. We see also that Wikipedia stands as a prime example of the potential of global collaboration by volunteers without any monetary gains. And we see also the fact that Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia whose quality checks are premised on public rather than peer review. Furthermore, why has this Wikipedia been regarded as an outcast? I remember when we were at college, we were told that you shouldn't cite a Wikipedia. And institutions went to the extent of formulating written policies that you shouldn't even dare to go there. So Wikipedia, since its inception, has been held on low esteem by academics as a result of what we can call anecdotal reportage that is not founded on facts, but more opinion-based. It has been underrated because of this anecdotal reportage that cited quality and bias and all those other oddities. And in academic institutions, the faculties have enforced laws banning the use of Wikimedia. And there have been a lot of, a myriad of questions over reliability and credibility, thus resulting into Wikipedia being relegated to what we can call a pariah status because of the perception that it reflected what we can call a pseudo-academic outcast. Some reasons cited were lack of peer review, but there are also other critical issues. For example, Wikipedia is revolutionary, and as a revolutionary platform, it has challenged the superdogs in the form of the proprietary media. And as a result, it has paid a price as a victim of sensationalized criticism characterized by this anecdotal reportage. An article written, I think, in 2007, entitled "A Stand Against Wikipedia," really highlighted some of these points that I've highlighted before, where it relegated Wikipedia as a pariah platform among academicians. There's also been lack of understanding of the fact that Wikipedia has ironclad copyright policies. There's also been, maybe some jealousy or, a red eye over the successes that this platform, open knowledge platform, has been able to gain, support from, readers because of its ability to reach out to the public than the elitist, anachronistic, academic publications that are more reachable to those who are within the academia. Right. Well, I won't belabor you much on this, but the Wikimedia Foundation is the collective name for this, grandiose movement where, there's the focus on the promotion of open knowledge through collaboration. Furthermore, this is the galaxy of Wikimedia, and I have listened to other speakers talking about it in the previous sessions, for yesterday or the day before. So I think I won't belabor much on that. But one statement that continuously remains permanently imprinted on the faculties on my mental faculty is the statement by the founder, Jimmy Wales, in 2008, where he articulated that imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. That is what we are doing. So in that spirit, I think we all, who amongst us can say that they are not able to doff off their heads in honor of such an inspiring, scintillating speech by the founder of Wikipedia. Since the second decade of the 21st century, there's been what we can call a volte-face, a sudden change of attitudes, a sudden change of perceptions. This has begun by, as it's been triggered by the forward-looking approach of the Wikimedia Foundation and its constituencies, and we have seen them, coming up with innovative ways that engage and reach out and enhance collaboration. And we have seen professional associations beginning now to accept and endorse Wikipedia. The list is endless. Those were just examples. Even in Africa, we have libraries, galleries, museums, etc., archives working hand in hand with the Wikimedia Foundation. Right now, as we stand today, we find that Africa is in dire need of generating its own content, so that we change the dialectical relationship where we remain as perpetual downloaders of information, but we also become critical producers of knowledge, and we reposition the continent on the digital landscape. Dr. Mampele said there's no way we can succeed in the eradication of poverty if the developing world is not part of knowledge creation, its dissemination and utilization to promote innovation. Higher education is a critical factor in this in making this possible, and must be part of any development strategy. Even though she mentions higher education, there are also other key stakeholders that are important in the development of this new strategy. Furthermore, there's been a lot of bad reportage on Africa. As you can see there, The Economist in 2000 had that cover, that Africa, the hopeless continent. And well, it could be understood by then because the year 2000 marked a year when, the world was moving from bipolarity to unipolarity as a result of the demise of the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics. And it was a decade also where there were isolated cases of conflict within the continent. But it made a contrasting headline again in 2011, where it said Africa rising, where it saw Africa as the future in terms of social economic growth. But what received more attention was the first article on the hopelessness of the continent, because people felt that there were so many other issues that were also good, positive issues that were taking shape within the continent. But there was no platform maybe for the citizens to air this, grievance. And Chinua Achebe has articulated it well in Entities of the Savannah. He says it is only the story that saves our progeny, meaning future, from blundering like blind beggars into the spikes of the cactus fence. The story is our escort. Without it, we are blind. Does the blind man own his escort? No, neither do we the story. Rather, it is the story that owns us. This is a very important saying that highlights the need for, Africa to embrace emerging technologies, work collaboratively with others in order to tell the story of the continent in this era of information disorder. Right. Right, those are the modes of production that we have been through. The first one where, it's isolated, production, and science is more given emphasis, and the mode 2, which becomes now transdisciplinary and focus on application of knowledge. And then the mode 3 now, which is democratization of knowledge, which is what Wikipedia and Wikimedia are doing now. They are democratizing knowledge, freeing it from the fetters of paywalls, freeing from the controls of those who want to make a profit out of knowledge. Now, we have to look at the moral economy and knowledge production. There are key issues here. There are those who are for-profit publishers, and they, benefit from double appropriation of academic labor and public resources. You send your article to them, and etc., and they sell it, and they have control over it. And this is an era which is also based on the monetization of academic knowledge, where commodities as IPs are sold at exorbitant prices. And, the majority are victims of what we call paywalls, subscriptions, where libraries, you have to subscribe. Now, here comes open access, premised on the notion that knowledge should be a public good as a whole, and that the barriers to knowledge and access are morally wrong, and no one should have the right to enclose knowledge from other academics and the general public. Furthermore, there are philosophies, the liberal democratic philosophy, which says knowledge should be accessible to the public because this knowledge is generated through public funding, where people pay tax. So I don't know whether they mean that those who only pay tax should access it, or they mean anyone else should access it. To go further, there is the radical view, which talks of free accessibility of all knowledge, and it calls on for the removal of any barriers because these are immoral, because they don't augur well with sustainable development. They don't augur well with inclusivity. We do not want to have a selected people at the feasting, at the table, of knowledge, whilst the rest in darkness. The 21st century has also seen the emergence of what Robin Hood.
Sorry, Dr. Alice. Yes, Alice. We are looking.
Well, we have seen the emergence of modern day Robin Hoods, who were able to, as they championed this open access, they were able to hack into, databases and, share the information with the people to send a message that paywalls were necessary, but rather people should have access to what we call the shebang. The shebang is the whole rather than the part. So Wikipedia is giving us a shebang of knowledge. It is creating for us an intellectual feast in the form of a shebang, which gives us the whole because of its universality and also because of its collaborative nature. I'll speed up here because of time. That's the peer review process that is associated with the for-profit publications, and it differs from the model that is used by Wikipedia. As you can see here, I won't go over it, but you submit your article, it goes to the editor, it's reviewed, and editor harmonizes. It's either accepted or rejected, depending on the outcome. Right. We then also have got what we can call the peer review challenges, where there are a lot of issues here, a lot of controversies that have to do with peer review, because, for example, it's incentive based, and there are also cost obligations, because it provides opportunities for corrupting influence of sponsors. For example, number one, the tobacco industry. It sponsored research which was intended to delay the links between cancer and cigarette. We want to mention the company. Then there was also on climate change, carbon fuel industry, sponsorship of research to distract attention from the nexus between carbon emissions and global warming. These are just examples, but we won't say much. Then here's the model for the democratic model for like Wikipedia, collaborative platforms of the 21st century. For example, we have there public authors and public editors, and you submit new ideas for review. And why? Because knowledge sharing, you believe in knowledge sharing, you are imbued with that spirit of sharing something. You also have the editors here. They review submissions for accuracy. And the main reason there is humane instincts rather than monetary gains. But there are weaknesses that have been highlighted. For example, uneven development, that pages that receive more traffic are likely to attract more edits. Uneven participation, public knowledge system also operate on a volunteer basis, just like the Wikipedia. And those who feel most empowered to share their knowledge dominate the landscape of the conversation. For example, we have got gender bias, where certain sectors or demographic groups are not participating within this. Right. Secondly, so Wikipedia has been able to transform negativity into positivity, which I think is now beginning to bear dividends, not only to them, but to all those who are lovers of knowledge. For example, using the crowdsourcing model of knowledge production, even though there's been a lack of understanding of this model of collaboration. And, challenging, elitism and anachronism in terms of the new models of knowledge production. Those sections have been covered in other sessions. I won't go right now. When we look at Wikipedia, it works on the basis of what we can call the concept of stigmage, which is the mechanism of indirect coordination between agents or actions, in which the after effects of one action guide the subsequent action. This concept is borrowed from entomology, where stig and mage concepts that have to do with a mark, and then the other part has to do with the work. So it is a process. A process is stigmatic if the work done by one agent provides a stimulus stigma that entices other agents to continue the job. So this is exactly what characterizes this Wikipedia. I think there is a conceptual framework of this, concept where we say ants use it to build complex architectural structures and to tell each other where to find sources of food. Humans can use it to build complex information systems, and this is what Wikipedia has done. Right, so through stigmaging, readers are stimulated to improve existing pages directly by reading the text and noticing its shortcomings, indirectly by reading comments that summarize the tasks that still need to be done, for example, editing references, clarifying ambiguities, among other things. There's also fact checking. That's a model there that, yes, I'm about to finish now. Right now, to conclude on this, we need the way forward. We find that there is need for more innovative projects. For example, what we call intellectual genealogy, where we can focus on more on creating a genealogy of who are supervised, who, from all the great African scholars like Sheikh Anta Diop, Adu Boahen, among others. There's also advocacy, raising awareness among stakeholders, and also promoting and building a culture of volunteerism, community engagement, and promoting epistemic justice. For example, 2022 marks the beginning of the decade of indigenous languages, and I am working with the IFLA indigenous matters section, and I think Wikimedia should be working hand in hand with us, and I will be able to raise this issue when we have our next meeting. So promoting epistemic justice is not only about promoting knowledge that is endogenous, but also it's about rethinking referencing systems. For example, how do we cite indigenous knowledge? How do we cite elders? And I'm glad that most of the major referencing systems are now beginning to come up with ways on how you can cite elders, how you can cite oral testimonies, oral histories, and etc. And this will leverage indigenous knowledge. They need also to think about sui generis works, unique works that have got collective authorship. How can this be utilized, and how can communities that own this knowledge be able to leverage it for their own benefit? And continuous professional development and partnership with key stakeholders. For example, because of the problems of internet connectivity, we could create a partnership with commercial internet service providers as well as non-commercial internet service providers in the form of national research and education networks under the banner of the UbuntuNet Alliance, where we could come up with models on how we can enhance access to information. And lastly, I think we need Wikipedia for long life learning, and also for promoting meta-literacy skills among other literacies, so that we develop a critical mass of thinkers who are able to salvage the world from this catastrophic and tragedy of information disorder. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you so much. Thank you for this presentation. I've been able to learn a few things. I did not know that we were living in an age of information disorder. I did not know we were living in an age of information disorder. I had also never really paid attention to how we can leverage our local knowledge and how it is actually going to be absorbed into this world of technology. Samuel, how much time do we have left? Samuel, are you there? Jason, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. The time is fast.
All right.
We still need to go on with the questions and answers.
So to be able to continue this conversation, we'll have to go to the village, to the community village table. Hello, Samuel. Jason.
Yeah,
all right, then, ladies and gentlemen, this presentation has been engaging, that it did not even leave us time to be able to address all the questions that you have. But Dr. Chisita is going to be at the Wikimedia Community Village table in the lounge, and here we can continue this conversation. See you soon, and thank you so much for having turned up for this session. Bye for now.
Okay, so please kindly visit